as security guard. The company that took me handed me over to Algebra Security. Then we had to go through training, of course, at NSI. It is called the National Security Institute. Every security guard has to go through that training. So after that, we were given PSB. Those are licenses to allow you to start working as security guard. I worked there for 6 complete years, and I was able to save enough money to come back and start my own business. So of course, that was my plan, to go work, save money, then come back and continue doing my own things. Because actually it was not only money, I also got a chance to study while I was working, because I was lucky that I was working for only 8 hours. So the remaining hours, I managed to study through online. So I'm a certified fitness trainer, level 3 personal trainer, and now I'm having my own registered company called the Martial Arts Fitness, Cultural and Sporting Center. I'm helping all kinds of people, those who want to be fit, those who want to maintain, and those who want self-defense. Actually, this company, before I went, it was already registered, because I registered it 2010. But now, when I went there, I acquired more skills. I studied. Then after I got my certifications, I had to buy some even equipment to come and start my own fitness center. So right now, I'm working with some companies as a fitness trainer, and I have really helped a lot of people, especially young girls and young boys who really need to be fit. Actually, because of affiliated diseases such as high blood pressure, diabetes, and other diseases, you can name them. So currently, I'm training in my own gym. I have my own house. I managed to save money. Actually, the life is okay, so I don't have any other problem. I thank very much Security Link for taking me and giving me that opportunity to have all these things in place. Thank you very much.
Some Ugandans are now working within the United Arab Emirates, and mostly as domestic workers, but also some as security guards and drivers. And you have just listened to Sandy Boniface's story. Now, some of them have beaten these odds in the UAE, and they are thriving. So this morning, we're going to take a keen look at those that have thrived and how they did it. Where did they start? So joining us to have this conversation is Executive Director of the Uganda Association of External Recruitment Agencies, and she is Miss Enid Nambuya. Good morning, Enid.
Good morning, ladies.
And welcome to Morning at NTV.
Thank you very much. I'm very pleased to be here this morning.
Today we look at the positive outcomes of labor externalization. Away from what has been said for a while, all the stories of trafficking, all the stories of being abused, sodomized, raped. And we look at the people that have actually thrived. Maybe the reason why so many people went in the first place. Yes.
Thank you very much. As you're aware, it is a right for someone to travel, to migrate for labor and for work. And as you know, most of the time we look at economic migrants, But there are also people who travel for labor which is temporary, a year, 2 years, 3 years, and they come back home. And this has been happening since time immemorial. There are many Ugandans all over the world. You'll be very surprised. I think every country, apart from Kenya, of course. Kenya is like we're home, just next door. But apart from East Africa, you'll find Ugandans way down. South Africa, China, Australia, name it. I don't think there's a country in the world that you will not find a Ugandan. The issue is, how did they get there? Did they go as economic migrants? Did they go as students? Because many, in the 60s, 70s, many went as students, and many married there, stayed there, some returned. And many of the children who were born in the 60s had citizenships of other countries. It made them easier to travel in the 70s and the 80s, when they thought Uganda was difficult in terms of economic vibrancy. We have many people who have worked successfully. I could say I'm a testimony of that. I worked for school and I came back. I was in the UK for my second master's, and I paid my way through school. And there are very many people who have those kinds of stories. Right now, if you speak about inflows in terms of remittances, we have more than $1 billion coming in as remittances from all over the world. And I believe the Bank of Uganda would be able to even go further and analyze and tell you from which area are they seeing most of these inflows coming in, depending on the means within which those inflows are coming. When you speak about the Emirates or the Middle East for that matter, it is easier to go to the Middle East than it is to go to America or Europe for that matter. You can actually get a job through a company in Uganda and you'll be externalized to the Middle East. But the biggest outflow happened during the Iraq and Afghanistan wars. Many of the Ugandans went to work in the security companies, and these were American companies that came sourcing. So the sourcing started there and gave Ugandans the idea, because many of them came back and also created their own companies after having been externalized to work in Iraq and Afghanistan. And those are quite a number. In terms of other jobs, Middle East, I think, has the highest growing economies. And they also have the sparse populations. So as an economy grows, there are those jobs that cease to be attractive, even in the Western world. As the economies grow, there are jobs that cease to be attractive for their own citizens. And so there is, especially in the service sector. So you'll find there are many jobs in the service sector that need to be filled. And those are the push factors, or pull factors as well. And then you have a Ugandan youth who would like to see what they see on MTV, drive those nice cars, wear those nice clothes, and they're seeing youth appearing to live a very good life. And so they would like to go to those countries and earn that kind of income and live that kind of life.
And I'm sure that number of youth is actually watching, because Uganda has employable, unemployed or underemployed youth, and that's a question that we need to sort out. So there's this pressure to live a certain way because I have the papers, I want to get that job. But the question is, what is the right process? Because once there's that pressure, then there's, you fall prey because you're vulnerable to, quacks, so to speak, the quack agencies. So what is the right process for this youth to take to get jobs or work outside the country?
There are two ways. First of all, we have a regulator, and that is the Ministry of Gender, Labour and Social Development. You can go as an individual, you can source your job online and get cleared through the Ministry of Gender, Labour and Social Development, as long as you can show that it's an authentic job, you applied for it. Sometimes people are interviewed online, and all the paperwork comes through, then they have to be vetted through the Ministry of Gender, Labour and Social Development. The other way is going through an authentic licensed company, and right now there are 130 companies that have been registered by the ministry to handle this work. Once you get to that company, first of all, confirm that they are registered, because it could be anyone claiming to be registered, has a nice office, has a pretty girl like Mala waiting there, looking very authentic and smart, and they'll say, we have a license, we can take you. They'll advertise. They'll have advertised on radio and TV, because you must advertise as a company with your job order to show that you have a job waiting. So for the youth out there, enter this office, find out whether they are licensed. Their license should be, the license will be on the wall.
Right.
Sorry, I don't have one to show you, but you can also ask.
Can those be faked?
Of course.
So, because one of the things, I've seen them in my area that I live in, there are about 2 agencies on the outskirts. And every time that I pass by, there's just this feeling within me that this is not right. Something is not right.
By the way, it is very right, because one of the things that they must have space. In fact, if you see one on the outskirts, it is more correct than not. I would be suspicious if it was in a mall, okay? Because of the criteria that they go through to get that license. The ministry expects them to have a certain amount of space within which to carry out this work. They must have a minimum number of staff. They're about 5 people. They must have given in they must have a whole list of things that they must fulfill before they're given that license. For this youth, you may not actually see all that, but you can also go on the Ministry of Gender, Labour, Social Development website. You'll find that all those companies listed there. That is the beginning. Then enter that company, talk to them, find out what jobs they have. You can also go back to the ministry and say, I went to company X, they say they have these jobs. Can you help me and see whether these jobs actually exist? Okay? Because there's one thing to tell you that I have a license and another thing to say that I have jobs. So the youth also, the other thing that they must do is for any penny paid, whether it's registration, whether it's assistance to get you a passport or whatever travel document, you must ask for a receipt.
Okay.
Insist on the receipt, and insist on seeing the main person. Do not stop at the reception. Ask to see the operations manager to confirm. The other thing is, if someone is helping you fake anything, that is another
red alert.
A very big alert. Because someone might say, I've just finished my career university, I don't even have any papers, and someone like, we can help you fix that. That should be a red alert. If someone says, I can help you get a passport, that's different, but at least make sure you fill in your papers. Make sure you appear at Internal Affairs for your interview. Okay? Because it's okay for someone to carry out an agency and say, we'll get you the passport. But the criteria is, you must get your receipt. And right now, I think a passport is around 250,000. If you pay more than that, there should be also another red alert. There are things like Interpol. It costs about 72,000. If you pay more than that, that's another alert. You know, there are small things like that where someone should be able to say, am I actually doing the right thing?
Are you in a position to break down the cost? For example, I walk up to this agency. How much should I be paying and for what? So you've mentioned the passport, you've mentioned 72K pretty much for Interpol. What other costs are involved?
The other costs will be medical.
Okay.
And a medical may be carried out once or twice or thrice, depending on the country you're going to, and depending on how long the period has taken for you to be externalized. Maybe something else I should state, it is not easy to get a job. And if you're being externalized in 2 weeks, that's another alert. Because it takes a month to 2 to 3 months for the whole job process to be handled properly. If it is a job for any skill, the counterparts, the other side, will come down to do an interview. And that happens maybe within a month. Okay, if you're lucky and you are registered at the time when the employers are coming down, maybe you're lucky. And then the visa comes out. But if anyone says, I can take you abroad in 2 weeks, that is already a red alert. It means either you're going on a tourist visa, most likely tourist visa, because that one you can get even in a day or two through a travel agency.
How do I know that this person from that other side is authentic? Because like Rita said, we are living in a space whereby people are not honest anymore. So how do I verify that this person I'm having an interview with is actually a representative of the company on this other end?
That is the issue of trust. Because the company that has called you for the interview has been licensed to carry out that interview. And their job order was authenticated by the Ministry of Gender. And the Ministry of Gender would have authenticated the existence of that company that gave you the job order. So now there's an element of trust, because the company is giving the foreign company has given the Ugandan company a power of attorney to recruit on its behalf. So in terms of authenticity, it is just trust. I do know there are companies that have have had those challenges where they've externalized their people only to get there and discover that the company actually did not exist. But if you've been taken by a company from here, you will not be stranded the other side.
When you talk about the company from here,
yes.
I came to know that sometimes if you're going to come and if you're going to get the job on the other end, you need to ask the agency on this end, do they have a representative the other side, so that in case you have any issues on the other end, there's a company you can report to and find a solution to what is going on, maybe with the workplace you've joined. So
that is the company I'm talking about. It will give you a power of attorney.
So who do we ask? Because a number of times I don't even think people know that they should be asking, do you have presence the other side? You know,
the presence is through the power of attorney, whereby the company that I'm dealing with here, I am sourcing for it persons to be employed on this side, and the other side they must also have an office where my people will arrive at and be handled from. Yes, that's the kind of presence we have. A few Ugandans are trying to get partnerships also to have companies the other side, but it's not easy to invest in most of these countries. I think Uganda is the easiest country to invest in, but abroad it's quite
the other way around.
Yeah, it is
possible.
Quite hard. It's not reciprocal, and that is something would really like the Minister of Trade to look into. How can some of these things become reciprocal? I see so many other foreigners coming into Uganda opening up businesses, but it is quite difficult having a company the other side which does not have at least 50% or 60% ownership by a local the other side.
So how about these agencies helping the ones that have gotten on the other end? They might have used the wrong channels. Do the people on the other end ever get a chance to reach out to them and say, please help me, I might have been trafficked? Or
many times.
Yes, and they do offer help.
We do. In fact, I also get calls many times, and if it is a clear case of trafficking, the first person of call would be the Ministry of Internal Affairs. They have an anti-trafficking desk, and they work together with Interpol to assist this person. But then, of course, you know, there's Ministry of Foreign Affairs and the consulars abroad. Those should be the first port of call, and we are basically working with the UAE because we have an embassy there, as well as the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia. Ministry officials in Foreign Affairs have assured us that they're looking into funds allowing to having a consul in Oman, having a consul in maybe Jordan and any of those other countries, because it's an issue of funding.
Right.
Otherwise, I think would have representation in all those countries, because we have more than 150 Ugandans within the Middle East.
And what about the stories of indebtedness? Now, these agencies that are authentic, do you just pay before you leave, and you never have to send maybe your first salary, your second salary, your third salary to this agency when you get to work on the other end?
I like the question, indebtedness. Right now, for you to be externalized, the only free job, if I may call it a free job, the only job for which you do not have to pay to be placed is the job of a house worker, domestic worker, whether male or female. Okay? You only pay registration fees, which are acceptable by government, of 50,000, and the rest is done for you. You don't even have to have a passport. If you don't have to. If you are doing domestic work. Okay? Now, when it comes to these other jobs, the companies, the other side, work like placement agencies. Just like here, if NTV wanted to recruit and they got hold of an HR firm and said, find me these people. So companies that side work with HR firms, and the HR firms now find people to come to Africa or wherever around the world to get those jobs. And that is where the costs come from. I can only compare it to looking for a house, where if you're looking for a house, there's an agent on your behalf and there's an agent on behalf of the landlord. So there's money that exchanges hands, and that is where the costs come through. Some jobs come when they have, maybe there's a ticket attached to it, and so the cost to you is much less. Then there are jobs which come when you have to find everything for yourself. Right. And then the placement fee is where the issue comes from. Some agents come and the company is hosting them, have to host them for a week throughout the interview process, and those are the costs that are recovered. And then some jobs are actually sold, if I may call it that. The agents will come down and say, for this job, there's this money down, and then the person is actually told, this is the money that you need. It may be $500, it could be the equivalent of $1,000 that is not actually retained here in Uganda, but goes to the company abroad.
Is there a limit to how much they can charge?
Right now there's no limit, because the other side, the industry, it's free. It's a free commercial terrain, so it is up to the what I'd call the ability of the company in Uganda to negotiate or even decide not to handle that that particular job.
Okay. Yes. So we're having a question here, and people are saying the reason as to why they don't go to the Ministry of Gender, Labour and Social Development is because the processes are just tedious and pretty much just it drains you completely. And this is the question that we're getting right here in the morning. And so this question comes through with asking, then what then is the role of UERA, and where are you situated? How much do you get to help the people who really want to go outside to get to work?
Okay, thank you very much for that question. We are located at BMK House next to Hotel Africana, which is just down the road from NTV. If anyone who wants to travel abroad comes to us, first of all, we'll tell them who our members are, because we can vouch for our members, and we can immediately make a call, ask the company, do you have these jobs? Because you may want a particular job and it's not available, but I have advertised that I do have those kinds of jobs. But when we make that phone call, we can actually confirm that yes, there are jobs for security guards, yes, there are jobs for the service industry, but the current jobs we're recruiting for are ABCD. And then we tell this person, these are the 3-4 companies that have jobs now, go there and see. And then we keep track of these people. We tell them to call us back, come back and we'll chat. So we're kind of like a clearinghouse, but we also vouch for our members.
Are these services for free?
Yes, if you walk in to ask us about a company which is a member, for anyone working in it is definitely free. Okay. We are not charging anything for those advice. The advisor, if I may call it, maybe in the future, but not now.
Okay.
Yeah.
What's that one thing before we close that you'd ask people to look out for every time they think of labor externalization? What should they be thinking?
If you want to be externalized, think very hard before you borrow that money. Maybe it could help you work here in Uganda. I know the commercial world is not easy, but before you borrow 6, 5, 9 million, I hear, I don't think that is very authentic, but before you borrow that money, see if you can use it here in Uganda. Secondly, agents. We have agents, and unfortunately, I think it's a Ugandan culture. We do not go straight into the office. Someone will feel easier if they were held by the hand and asked to tag along.
Yes.
Beware, there are 130 companies. Many young people have access to internet on their phones. Just put on 500 MBs.
OTT as well.
And your OTT, okay, which you can pay in small bits. Look for the Ministry of Gender website. You will find all the authentic companies there. And there's also jobs available, are also advertised on that website for the particular companies. And there are phones. You can even call. You can call and ask. But if it sounds too good to be true,
think twice.
Think twice. And if the money is that astronomous amount of money, think twice again. And thirdly, there's peer pressure. People are called from abroad. I made it, you also come. But the person who's telling you to come is not telling you exactly what they are doing, neither are they telling you how they got there. They're just telling you, I made it, you can also come. And those are the biggest number of people who are enticing young people to go.
Right.
But please make sure you use an authentic registered company, because if anything happens to you, whether you've not been externalized in time, you'll get your refund. If you get there and you have any issues of trouble, you'll be able to be, you're traceable, and you can get assistance.
Thank you so much, Ms. Enid Nabuya, for coming in studios, the Executive Director of the Uganda Association of Externalization, actually external recruitment agencies right here in the country. Now you know, don't say you were not told. Right here, we always thrive and endeavor to inform you and educate you on more of these things, just so you get to know what to do, how to do them, and so that's the information for you. So tell a friend, tell a friend, tell a friend. We're going to upload this particular interview on YouTube, so be sure to share it with your friends. Right about now, we need to tell you how the roads are looking like, and so we have Stephen Bide in Namirembe Road. Good morning, Stephen.
Good morning to you.
How are the roads looking like in Namirembe?
All right, we're coming to you live from Namirembe Road at the junction of Lubaga Road and Mwangatu Road. Here, if you know you're coming from the other side of the Kabaka and the Kabaka's Palace, the pictures you're seeing there are from Mwangatu Road, joining Old Kampala through the former Pride Theatre at this junction of Namirembe Road. Just know that it's because of the construction that is ongoing along the Namirembe Road, you cannot access at that point of Bakuli coming from Lower City Centre. You need to go through Lubaga Road for now, or you have to go through the other side of Old Kampala and then connect to Bokesa if you know you're heading towards Hoima Road, or if you know you're heading towards Masaka Road, then as you reach this point, make sure you divert towards Lubaga Road. And for you who is coming from Hoima Road, joining the city centre, right now you can go through either the other side of Saapro Kagwa Road or go through Nankulabye and then connect to Makerere University for you who is heading towards Shira Road. Or if you know you're heading towards the city centre, then as you connect towards the Old Kampala, you can access Rashidi Kamisi Road to connect to the Chagu Road, that is the one linking you towards the other side of Kampala Road, or even the city centre through Martini Road for now. And for you who is coming from the other side of the Lower City Centre and you know you're heading towards the other side of Mengo and areas beyond, all you need to know is that as you access this point, still the same route you have to take going through Lubaga section. But for now, I have to remind you that if you're a passenger, you need to have a pleasant life. Everyone wants to have a pleasant day as he kickstarts his day. So for you who is getting into a taxi or a bus, all you need to know is that you have to ask that conductor the route he's taking, and of course you need to know the charges he will be asking for or the fares for you to be in to have a good day. You don't need to have anyone to disrupt any of your travels. But as I sign out now, I have to speak to one of the gentlemen here who is controlling the traffic flow. That is Kasire, usually known as Pepe, who controls the traffic flow around this section. I'll speak to him. That is Pepe, or usually many of the days he's called Pepe, but his real name is Kasire, and he's popularly known at this particular junction. I'll speak to him, Mr. Pepe. Tubulire lwaki Mr. Pepe jebale sebo.
Kale sebo. Jebale sebo.
Kale sebo. Tubulire kubanga bakola oluguudo wano kikyataganyizaamu kitya ebyentambula n'emirimu gyo wano.
Mukama wange bagenda ne bablockinga ne basiba ekkubo. Oluguudo balukola teruggwa. Kati emmotoka ate eri gye bazisindika okuzidaivatinga. Naye enguudo nayo nfute bazikola. Kati tulaba nti tusanga obuzibu. Olwakanyugo kawano ndowooza ng'embeera kati ogiraba. Emmanga basibyewo kati olaba nga bwenzawula zikirira Mwanga tu Kisenyi kati eri ziba tezikyagenda. Ate olina okukola ekisoboka ate eri bwe basiba ate oziyise wansi ku baasi za linki kwegamba ne tubanga beetala nga badokita abalongoosa.
Naye nga webale nnyo emirimu gy'okola. Kaba tubulire gwe ki kyolowooza kyanobadde kikolebwa kubanga embeera wano eterera
kikolebwa bandibadde bagazirako ku luguudo mu kifo ky'okulufunza then abantu tebasobola okutambula nga beeyagala naye kati ate bwe basangawo lwe bafunza kati kiba tekirina kyekikola bagaziyeemu ku luguudo awo emmotoka zijja kutambula naye bwe bennyini banaafunza ate bakulyetingawo jaamu.
Webale nnyo mwami Kasire amanyiddwa nga Pepe wano e Namirembe Road nga tukwasaganya ebyentambula n'okubanga kuyambako kubanga yamba abaana nga bano okubanga basala oluguudo. Nze Mbide Stephen, back to you Mala in the studios to take us on with the rest of the programming on Morning at NTV. This is Stephen Mbide with Helen Buchirwa on the camera.
Thank you so much, Stephen Mbide. At least now you know how the roads look like in the Namirembe side, and we salute Mr. Pepe. Thanks to him, at least we're seeing some movement on that particular road, and we do salute every single, traffic person or anybody who volunteers to at least ease off traffic in most of the roads right here in the country. Don't go too far. We'll be coming back with an interesting conversation on the Techno segment, and we'll be talking about why it's important for you to get to know and understand your blood group. So don't go too far.
Drink it and win it with Coke Studio. Buy and enjoy your favorite 500 ml Coca-Cola with the yellow crown. And check under the crown for the name of your favorite Ugandan Coke Studio artists. Each of your favorite artists wins you fantastic prizes like a fully paid